Hi children, do you remember who am I? Yes, I am database. We will do a quick recap about database. We learnt about data, information, DBMS, characteristics of DBMS, advantages and components of DBMS, database structures, models of DBMS, types of relationship, database models, difference between DBMS, RDBMS and relational algebra. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. Good morning children. Welcome back to computer science class. Today in computer science, we are going to see about SQL. So what is called as an SQL? SQL is a structured query language. Let's see them in detail now. What is structured query language? So structured query language is a server that is used. Okay, we are going to use it in a server and it pulls out the commands. So structured query language is located in chapter 12 in your book. Structured query language and it is located in chapter 12. Okay, so now we are going to see about what are the 4 to 5 concepts we are going to deal with today. Let's see them now. So introduction to SQL. So introduction to SQL. And next to introduction, we are going to see about role of SQL in RDBMS. And the third thing is we are going to see processing skills of SQL. After processing skills of SQL, we are going to see about creating database, the process of creating database, and then components of SQL. I'm repeating. Introduction to SQL, role of SQL in RDBMS, processing skills of SQL, creating database, components of SQL. Okay, so now we are going to see them one by one. So introduction to SQL. So as I told you, SQL is a structured query language. So the structured query language is a standard programming language to access and manipulate databases. SQL allows the user to create, retrieve, alter and transfer information. There are many SQL, but as of now we are using the latest 2008, which is released in 2008 according to our book. So it's a language designed for managing and accessing a data. So relational database is a very good concept, children. You will like and love it as we go into the lesson. So managing and accessing the data in a relational database management system. So this is SQL, that is the database. And here we are used to pull the database and we are storing the data, and here we are using a document to store the data. There are different ways you can store, retrieve and then transfer the data. Okay. So what's the next thing we are going to see here? Correct. The next concept is role of SQL. Do you think what would be the role of SQL in RDBMS? So you know RDBMS is a database where we store or retrieve data. How SQL is related to RDBMS, children? Come, let's see. So how it is related? See, RDBMS, database management system, Oracle, MySQL, and then server, IBM DB2, Microsoft Access. These all are main packages that we use in RDBMS. See here, MySQL and then SQLite, and this is IBM DB2 server and then MariaDB. So these are the database that we are using for accessing the SQL packages. Okay, so next we are going to see in detail about the role of SQL in RDBMS. See, what is RDBMS? It is a raw data, a collection of data, figures, statistics, values, facts, and then it is used for storage, retrieval, generating reports, queries, as well as data security. Let's see them one by one now. So what's the first part? Data. What is data? A raw fact is called as a data. When you put together the data, it gives us some meaningful information that is called as information. RDBMS. We learnt about RDBMS. So it's a combination of raw data, storage, figures, statistics, values, and everything combined together is the RDBMS. So next to RDBMS, we are going to see about database. You already know what is a database because here the database is being stored with all the required information. Next to database, we are going to see about field. What is field? Correct. So when we have a column, for example, for 12A or 12E, I have a database. And then what is field? A particular student A for subject computer science. So that is called as the field. And then the next part, the last one is the record. The whole 12A is a database and field is a column. And what is a record? So for example, I want to pull out a first student. For example, student A. So that is called as a record. So that is role of SQL in RDBMS. Okay. And then the next part, we are going to see about the processing skills of SQL. What are the processing skills of SQL? The first point is data definition language. So the SQL data definition language provides commands for defining relational schemes, deleting, creating index, and then modifying the schemes. That is DDL. And the second part is data manipulation language. It's mainly used to insert, delete, and then modify. What's the third one? Third one is embedded data manipulation language. And what's the fourth one? It's view definition. View definition, it's an example for viewing a view of a table. How the table is being created, how it is done. So that is viewing of a table. And then authorization. How we are going to authorize or give rights for the access. That is called as authorization. And next is integrity and transaction control. What is integrity? We use some conditions to use the data or block the access from other users. So that is called as integrity. And the next thing is transaction control. Transaction control, SQL includes commands for file transaction and control over it. So that is called as transaction control. Okay, so I am repeating it again. Data definition language, data manipulation language, embedded data manipulation language, view definition, authority, integrity, and transaction control. These are the 7 important skills that we are going to see in processing the correct skills for SQL. Okay. Now, what's the next part? The next is creation of database. So, how will you create a database? Tell me. So, yeah. Create database and give a database name for it. So, create database and then student can be given for it. And then if you want to use the database or pull out some queries, you have to use followed by the database name. What's the database name given here? Student is the database name. So, here we are creating and here we are using it. So this is how we create a database and then use it. Okay. So what's the next part we are going to see here? The next part we are going to see is about next to creation of database. What did we see? Correct. We are going to see about components of SQL. There are mainly 5 components we are going to see in SQL. DDL, data definition language, DML, data manipulation language, DCL, data control language, TCL, transaction control language, DQL, data query language. There are totally 5 types we are going to see in the components. Okay. So, create, alter, drop and truncate is used for DDL. Insert, update and delete is used for DML. And for DCL, we are going to use only 2 things because we are going to control it. That is grant and revoke. And for TCL, we are going to see commit and then rollback and save point. For DQL, there is only one thing where we are going to select it. Okay. And we are going to see them in detail now. So what's the first part? Data definition language. Let's see what is data definition language. Data definition language consists of SQL statements used to define the data structure. So mainly it is used to create and modify the structures. Here it provides set of definition and access methods by the database system. So set of definition and access by the database system. As it says definition, the definition is used over here to pull the data. That is data definition language. Mainly it is used for creating and then modifying or accessing it. Okay. So next we are going to see what are the commands used in data definition language. So DLL. So the first part is create. So this is used to create a database. And next it's used to alter the database. And we can also use the drop command. And one more thing is given in your book, children. Yeah, you can guess it out. What is it? Truncate. Correct. So create, alter, drop, and then truncate. These are the 4 commands we are going to use in the database. So create database, alter the data in a database, delete a data in a database, truncate, do some modifications in the database. Okay. Next we are going to see about data manipulation language. So what is data manipulation language? It's a programming language used for mainly 3 things. So inserting, deleting, and modifying. So after the database is being specified, you can use the procedures to manipulate the expressed by DML. What is DML? DML, data manipulation language. Correct. Remember the 3 things: insert, delete, update. Good. Now let's see the command. What are the commands used in DML? So we already saw what are the 4 commands used in DML. First one is insert. Yeah, what we are going to do with insert? We are going to insert a data to a database. And what is delete? We are going to delete a data in a database. Select. For example, in 12A, I want to get the computer science marks of 12A. So I select who scored more than. Select scoring more than 90 in computer science. I'll give the database name. So what will happen? That particular student's name will be listed. So that is the select. And the last one is update. If I want to update the database, I use the update command to update the database. There are 4 commands. Okay. So what's the next part? The next part is data control language. So what is data control language? It is used to provide access or the authorization to the user. So that is called as data control language. So in data control language, there are 2 points. That is 2 commands. The first one is grant and second one is revoke. So what is grant and what is revoke? Grant is used to provide the privileges or the access to the user. What is revoke? Just pulling back the access is called as the revoke. So grant and then revoke. There are 2 commands in data control language. Okay. So next we are going to see about, yes, transaction control language. So what is transaction control language? So transaction control language is mainly used to work with the transaction. There are 3 types of it. So first one is commit, rollback, and save point. What is commit? Yeah, you can save any database permanently. Any transaction in a database permanently is commit. And what is rollback? Rollback restores the database to the last commit date. It restores the database. That is rollback. What is save point? It temporarily saves a transaction so that you can roll it back later. So commit, rollback, save point. So commit stores the data permanently. Rollback restores the data to the last commit state. Save point temporarily save a transaction so that you can roll back it. So it's saving a data, restoring a data, temporarily saving a data. These are the 3 parts of commit, rollback, and save point. Okay. So what's the last thing we are going to see here? The last thing is data query language. As the word says queries, what do you understand, children? So we are using only the select command here to take off any information from a database. So that is called as data query language. You can retrieve data from a database. Only one SQL command used over here is select. So only we are using select command to retrieve the data. I hope you understood the lesson, children. So I am repeating all the 5 components: DDL, data definition language, data manipulation language, data control language, transaction control language, and the last one is data query language. And what are the components we use for data query? Correct, select. And what is for transaction control? Yeah, three things: commit, rollback, and then save point. And what we use for DDL? Yeah, addition, drop, create, delete, truncate, and then insert. Correct. And then what did we use for DML? We saw about four things. Correct. Insert, update, alter, delete. And what do we see for data control language? Only two things. What are they? Any guess? Correct. Grant and revoke. We are granting permission. We are revoking back the permission. So this components of query or SQL commands is a very important concept. And then hope you understood the lesson, the components, the processing skills, and what are the other things we saw. Yeah, and an introduction part of SQL and how RDBMS works and what is the use of RDBMS. Okay, this RDBMS is a quite interesting chapter, children. So just go through your book PDF, go through your test, Kahoot on time. So if you have any doubts, come for your doubt clearing sessions. Thank you, children. Have a great day. Stay safe at home. Please don't go out. We do pray for you. Thank you.